I should say. I absolutely would say. Now, tell you what, gang. Happy Good Friday. Now there's been an eruption. Happy Good Friday, everybody. I tell you why I'm a bit confused. I tell you, hi, I'm Russ Kane. I tell you why I'm a little bit confused, and it's this. Every morning I have to have my coffee, right? And I have one of those espresso machines, right? And I thought I put the cup under the spout. Turns out my mind was elsewhere. As per usual, my brain halfway up my terrace. And I'm standing there like a complete twerp, watching my coffee just come out the espresso machine. I'm going, I really should have put, I should have put that cup under there. Anyway, here we go. Are you live? Yes, I'm 100% live, Veronica Curran. Hey, you are so cynical up in Edinburgh. I think you'll find. No, that's more softer, isn't it? If it's Edinburgh, it's slightly softer. If it's Edinburgh, it's like that. Otherwise, it's like Glasgow, which is great. You're going to meet Paul because you want a Glasgow kiss. What have we got? Right, let's go through everything. Robert Van Buren. Let me have a sip, gang. Hang on. Cheers. Delicious. Robert Van Buren, clockmaker. Isn't that cool? When people say, let's dash across to Manhattan. Good morning. What's the time? What's the time in Manhattan? It's about 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in the morning. What's the weather doing? I like to know everything about Manhattan there. The lovely Linda Dave. I had the pleasure of working with her son once upon a time. It's a long story. Linda, hi. I hope that you and Ray is well. I hope you're both well. I always ask, boy, how are you both doing? Let's get through all these lovely messages. This is so nice. This is like having like an extended family, except you don't drive us mad. Glassy Amanda Glass, high up in the therapeutic community. Hi, Glassy. Let's go to Kimi Lashma. Happy Good Friday, everyone. Happy Good Friday to you. I'm going to read some of the quotes from it. Do you remember the film, The Long Good Friday? With Bob Hoskins. I love that film. I can't do any jingles or anything, Barry, so I can't do flash but good afternoon, Miss Kate. Good afternoon to you. And now we go to the King of Smoked Salmon. I'll just say that because it's the brand. Happy Pesach. It is both Easter and it is Pesach. It is both those things. There we are. Record numbers of you tuning in. How lovely. Thank you very, very, very much indeed. How absolutely divine. Now, what have we got? Excite. Oh, I see what he did there. Do you see what he did? Gang, see what he did. This is Monroe. He's an exciting egg. Do I need to explain this? I'm Gilbert Gottfried. What a loss. I loved Gilbert Gottfried. I can't show any of his stuff. I can't show any of his stuff, even on this show. By the way, I'm not wearing a hat to look cool. I'm wearing a hat because I woke up and my hair. I look like bloody Ken Dodd. Right, and he's been dead for a while. Ruthie Siegel, who's watching this in France. I love it. We've got New York. We've got everywhere. Ruthie Siegel, beautiful, hot, sunny day here in France. Happy Easter and happy Passover. Marvelous. And Zen is pointing out it's Ramadan. Was it like a 3-for-1 sale? Like God was having I tell you what, it's Easterish. We'll have a 3-for-1 sale. That's what we're doing. We'll have Ramadan, we'll have Pesach, Passover, and we'll have Easter. And who's going to refuse a deal like that? I think that's a good deal. Ramsey says, "Hello everyone, happy good long weekend." Absolutely. Can I read you some of the quotes? Do you remember the film? Oh, hang on. Back to New York. Busy, isn't it? Busy. New York, sun's out, 28 degrees. Yes. Ooh, nice. When I lived over there, there were kind of two temperatures in New York. One was, I'm so cold, I'm just going to die. And the other was, I'm so hot, I'm just going to die. And you would actually stand on the sidewalk, the pavement, as we would call it, and you would watch the tarmac bubble. It was so hot, the tarmac would actually bubble. It's an amazing thing to watch. Anyway, there we go. Right. What do we got here? Ramsey said that, and right, I think we kind of dealt with all of that. Right, marvelous. Eventually, I will be joined by our fabulous. Who is on your show today, Robert? If I knew that, it's almost like this is my radio station. It would be like I was in control. Let's dash across. I know exactly who's on the show, and I'll tell you in a sec. Let's dash across, not to New York State, but not to New York City. Good day, all. Hi, Azadon Brown. And then Elizabeth is saying, sun shines a lot. One of my kids has just emigrated to the USA with the MSA. And I see more of him now than when he lived in St. Albans. And everyone said to me, "Oh, he'll be." I thought, "No, he's gone. That's it. He's off. He lives in Texas now." Oh, God! And now he video phones, whatever you call it, video phones. Well, he's got an Ovaltine. I've got an Ovaltine. We've got some string. Basically, how it works. And oh man, those blue skies. That's the thing I love the most. The blue skies. And he's just saying, "Yeah, Dad. Hey, here's my new car that I just got, and here's the house." And I'm going, "Jeez, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic." Right, what we got here? This is from Ramsey. Hi, Ramsey. Funny to hear you spilt your coffee. I did too, all over my mattress. Oh, someone's in the doghouse. Someone's in the doghouse. I did too, all over my mattress. My wife is not pleased with me. No shit, Sherlock. Now trying to avoid... This is just life, isn't it? This is just well-being, mental health, and how to stay away from your partner when they're pissed off with you. My wife is not pleased with me. Now trying to avoid her for a bit, so I'm hiding in the lounge. Hide behind the sofa. Give him covering fire. On my mark, go. What's Elizabeth saying? Morningside Park from my window. Is that a tune? Is that a film? I don't know what Morningside Park is, but I'm sure it's absolutely gorgeous. Hang on. She's saying, I'm not on your radio station today. If you want to be, you could be. I don't know how I do it. You'd be ever so welcome. I thought you were busy. Oh, God. Is he coming up? Is he there? Nobody's there. No, he's not there. He's not. I don't know what he's doing. That was well, Robert Van Buren's advice to Ramsey at Wymus Harlem is, for goodness sake, hide behind the sofa. See, I don't like eating or drinking in bed. Nah, can't bear it. It's a real thing. Now, what are you saying here? She's going mad. She's going ducks. She's throwing out random words. Ducks. And the next random word, ladies and gentlemen, is pond. Pond. For those of you at home, here's the secret word. It's pond. I can do all that. Now, what have we got? This is, here we go. Oh, this is free therapeutic advice coming in from New York, from Azadon Brown to Ramsey. And it says this: Ramsey, Wymus Harlem. I've worked with couples for years. My suggestion, you better be on your best. Yeah, I'm doing this, expecting Long to turn up. What is this? Not sure if you saw my kebab post, but I'm limbering up.
No, just see if my camera's working.
No, unless you're sitting in, unless you're doing your Stevie Wonder impression.
Can you hear me?
Well, kind of. Yeah, I kind of hear you, but I've got a black screen.
Oh, well, I'm lucky I've got my technical man here, so he's going to have a look at it.
Yeah. It's really interesting, Neil. Just, is it sort of a Jackson Pollock? Where are we going with
this? There's no need to be rude.
Well, you know what I'm saying here? It's an art form. No, I can't have you like that. It's just mysterious. You get your bloke sorting it out. I can see you downstairs.
He is. He's sorting it out as we speak.
You're a genius. You know, you'd kind of think over the years I've known Neil Long, things would improve. As he matured, his technical expertise. No, I didn't see it. By the way, I didn't see it. I'm trying to stay off social media because I am knee-deep in my book and I haven't got time. It's quite simple as that. Oh, look at this. We're getting into an American war. Okay. You want to be a tough guy, eh? Azadon Brown says, Elizabeth Green, I match your ducks and ponds with fishing and hiking. Elizabeth, a woman's got to know her limits expectations. Are you feeling lucky? Well, are you green? I think it just killed my throat there. Right, what have we got here? Kimmy Lashmar. He is a world unto himself. I can't help it, he kills me. He just makes me laugh. It is interesting. What's your view? I like that. The other thing I wanted to talk about, look, it's Good Friday. I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit here, which I'd like to do every now and then because I think we need it. I think we need it, gang. That's what I think. One of those green birds, and I don't mean the one from Guardians of the Galaxy. What do they know? Larry Grayson? Not impersonating. God, why am I friends with this idiot? I think it's part of my charity work. Russ impersonating Larry Grayson. No, I'm not. No, Larry Grayson would be if I did. Look at the muck in this place. Be all that, wouldn't it? Shut that door. He got away. You think about how we are now with political correctness. I'll finish this fabulous anecdote, Neil Long, and then I'll bring you on because it's so great. It's not really. Larry Grayson did it was Clint Eastwood, I know. Larry Grayson did a song, and it got in, and it was released, and it got into the chart. And it was shut that door, it's freezing cold in here. Shut that door, I'm feeling rather queer. And it did this whole gay thing, and no one said a word. Now I'd thrown to be taken out into the village square and hung.
They would be up in arms if that was released today. Up in arms, I tell you.
Look at that face. Look at that face of.
I know, the perfect face for radio. Let me introduce you to my technical man, superstar. This is Mr. E. He's also a mixing wizard on the decks.
Mr. E?
Mr. E.
Is this drug reference?
It's not a drug reference, no. Okay. His real name's Ken. It's a play on words, Mystery, Mr. E. And he's an absolute technical whiz. And we discuss men's mental health quite a lot as well. So that's why I wanted to give him a quick
Bless him. Well, he can come on and chat. You can come on and chat anytime he wants. He is more than welcome. By the way, I don't know if you heard, I'm not wearing a hat because I'm trying to look 12 because I think that's embarrassing. I'm wearing a hat because I woke up and I thought, Jesus, looked in the mirror and I thought, Ken Dodd's back. So I just put a hat on.
Bad hair day, my friend.
Very bad hair day because I've been cutting my own hair since January 2020, and my closest friends, Lloyd and Larry. Larry came up with a great gag the other week. Last week, he came up with the gag, and he went, Sam Monroe, what is hair? I'll remind you, said, never you mind. Never you mind. You've got personality. Oh, he hasn't. No, I forgot. Here's the thing. They said, Larry looked at me and he said, your hair reminds me of that John Buchan novel. He read the 39 Steps. I thought that was the funniest gag. I've been laughing about that for about 2 weeks. I'm doing my best, but it just looks crap at the moment, I'll be honest with you. Anyway, hit your fan clubs here. Robert Van Buren.
RVB.
Now, there we go. And Kimmy Lashmar's thrilled that you're there. There he is. And even from America now, your fan club goes, it's Neil. Now, before everybody's saying, let's just, Asa, I thought, well, Asa, I tell you what, this is from Asa. I thought I'd inspired you to wear hats. Well, when I go and see my boy out in Texas, I wanted to buy like a proper Stetson and everything. But wow, I was watching documentaries about how they make them. Have you seen the price of like proper cowboy boots and proper Stetsons?
No, never really thought.
Oh no, I like that. I just want to.
I have something to say to you. Hug Samaya.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very nice.
You're very welcome. I have a Jewish friend, and she's just about to celebrate her Passover, and she told me to pass on that greeting.
That's extremely sweet. Thank you very much. That's very kind, and happy Good Friday to you. I'm hoping I'm getting through this. Now, what was I going to say? Oh yeah. I know a guy. I know a guy. Getting a lot of trouble from Don Carlone. I know a guy. I love that. And who we got here? We got Jane Rose.
Hello, Jane.
A new name. How exciting, Jane! Record numbers today.
All my lot are turning up today.
This is great. Jane, welcome to the show. And
welcome,
here we go. And now let's go wimbling, wombling free. Good morning, from Sweet Memories of Hythe. Please say hello to Holly, my daughter, who has given up our Friday to work.
Hello, Holly.
Wimble, here's the thing.
Shout out, Holly.
Don't tell me she's working in the sweet shop. David Wimble does more things. One day I'll introduce you, Neil, because he's a lovely man. So we go out on Deluxe Radio, as you know. There's about 60 to 70,000 people listening to us now, which is sometimes why I read stuff out and goes, no, we can read that. I don't need you to read it because it's on radio, on Deluxe Radio. He also has a sweet shop. So not only is he a radio bloke, right? He's got a sweet shop, like a proper old-fashioned sweet shop.
Well, I love sweet shops like that. You don't often see those. It's a real joy to see, with all the big jars and
that's what
2
he's
ounces
got.
Of this and
he doesn't do it by half, man. He wears like a really jazzy "Are You Being Served" jacket, like he's got a variety of really loud blazers. That's his trademark. My trademark is I just turn up and sort of sit there like a smouldering mess. But he sits there looking immaculate in really loud blazers, and he serves with really loud. And underneath the sweet shop is the largest model railway, sort of on the south coast. Go figure. So that's another business he's got. Plus, he's got a newspaper that when I have time for, I write a column for, which I don't always have.
Is there anything this man doesn't do?
Yes. He was quite disappointing as an astronaut. I'll be honest with you. It wasn't great. Didn't work out that well. Now then, Jane Rose, who is new to the show, but we're thrilled to have her along. LDF, what is LDF? Limited split differential.
No, it sounds like an extreme right-wing organisation.
Well, it does, actually. Are you part of that?
It's very benign. It stands for Lockdown Family. Do you remember I told you on the show the other day I was doing all those virtual DJ
lockdown parties? Yeah.
Yeah,
and she says Neil Long is a legend. Yeah.
Lockdown Family,
yeah.
LDF.
So Sasquatch. And I just finished. I think Simon Roberts said cheerio. He says, got to get back to the writing. That's right. Which in his case is no milk today, but 6 eggs, please, Pillman. That's like you. That's my favorite gag. Have a great Good Friday. Salams and greetings to every one of you, no matter what faith, race, creed, color, or orientation. Well, beautifully said. That's it. That's all it is. Just be happy. Just be happy. We're all just people trying to do the best I can. Right. And that's what we're doing. Right, Neil. Flow. What is flow? You were going to talk about flow.
Oh, you want to do flow today?
I'll do anything you. I don't. What is he? Is he checking for bombs or something behind you? What's your guy doing? He's doing this thing. I'm just wondering what the hell he's doing.
He's the last Boy Scout. He's been doing very, very clever DJ mixing type things. If you ever do a show on beat match mixing, which I doubt you will, but if you ever do,
trust me, that is not on my list.
He's your man.
You really? Do you know something, Neil Long? Record numbers, people watching us. Record numbers. Unbelievable. We must have, what do we got? We got Asa here. We must have a proper conversation. Asa, I'd like you as a proper guest on the show because he is very high up in the therapy. Let's try and set that up. Right, let's go to this. Shh. Who's that? Who's talking?
I was telling my man to shush. I made some notes on flow and they're in my phone and I'm looking for them.
Okay, you do that. Luke Newman, who's a very good guy. Luke, good afternoon, gents. Good afternoon to you, Luke. Celebrating this Good Friday with an order of 20 times the Mental Health Moles book. Oh, bravo. To get you up to speed, Neil, it's this. Luke decided to do a book. And it's called the Mental Health Moles book. And it deals with, and it's gorgeous. It's an illustrated book. And Luke's been on the show. And I thought this was just terrific. But, even terrific ideas, sometimes they just die and wither on the vine, don't they? And this is going gangbusters, and it deserves to. It's adorable little mole. It's little cartoons, lovely illustrations, but it deals with really serious mental health issues and topics in a beautiful way. So celebrating the Good Friday with an order of 20 of the Mental Health Moles book, the best order ever. Bravo. This will pay salaries and expenses for two men to talk meetings. So Luke, who had his own problems, you remember me saying that, has turned everything around and, making proper life. This is great. Robert Van Buren. Hi, Kerry Stoneman. Who's Kerry Stoneman? What's going on here?
She's another LDF. Hi, Kerry.
Oh, well, you could say that with a bit more enthusiasm. I mean,
she's another LDF.
No, well, at least you're going to say hi to the woman, or man. Is it a man or a woman? I have no idea. Are we allowed
Kerry,
to ask that these days? I don't know. What are we? It's a what?
A lady.
Lady. It's a lady. Another new one. Hello. We're going to say, Kerry Stoneman, hi, RVB. Oh, no, Ethan, I'm around. Why are you laughing, man? I really do want you on the show. I think it'd be great. I think we should do an hour together. Sue Sleet, hello, Sue Sleet. She's up in Fife, Neil. She's up in Fife, and I met her son only last, I think it was last week, because he was down in London, but he's gone back to Fife now.
I met him at the Trossachs.
Hi, Neil and Russ, says Kerry Stoneman, and hi to you, Kerry. Welcome to our little family. Well, I say little family, it's all over the world now. Who the hell knew? Now, I'm going to be honest. Another Jane Rose. Look at this. This is good. This is Hello, Kerry, RVB, which is Robert Van Buren, and the impressive LDF, the London Docklands Flight Path. I'm calling it. That's what it's going to be. Now,
family.
Yeah, rock on the LDF.
People's Front of Judea.
At the People's. Hey, Neil, what did Cabal Radio ever do for us?
Well, apart from boosting our careers and making us famous, absolutely nothing.
Well, yeah, there is that. Yeah. And what did it ever do for us?
Meeting amazing people, which we still work with today. But apart from that, nothing, mate, nothing. Now, this is weird because I screenshotted a load.
Don't worry, we'll do something else. We could do the other stuff.
Can we do flow another bit? I screenshotted a load of it, and now it's probably disappeared.
What you need is your genius who can do mixing. Maybe he could just do an hour of.
Do you know he could? Don't ask him.
He could. No, I really no, because I'm not interested. Let me just set up my stall here. I don't like it.
I did have a profound thought this morning, though, which I can share with everyone.
All right, stand by, everybody.
Well, when it comes to men's mental health, possibly women's as well, but I would say possibly even more in men, because generally, to stereotype a bit, we're not really so much ones to talk about our feelings and all that sort of thing. This must have come up 1,000 times on the show.
It does. It's the very, very fulcrum upon which we stand.
And what I found with quite a few men, some I know personally, is they're sort of bipping along. They don't even really think about mental health. You could call it unconscious competence. They're good at it, but they don't know how they do it. They just do it, right? Until something happens and a curveball's thrown or a tragedy or something like that. And then suddenly they lose it and then realize they had it in the first place when they never knew they had it because they never thought about it. But because they never thought about it, they don't have an understanding of how to get it back. So you're
going to have to unpick that a little bit.
A lot of men, I'll take a friend of mine as an example. He was just sort of bipping along, absolutely fine, totally mentally healthy, but didn't know it, if you like.
He was okay.
He was mentally healthy, but didn't know he was mentally healthy because he never thought there was anything else. It was just his reality.
Really, would it? It wouldn't occur to you if everything's good. I mean, I suppose it's like, hey, my legs aren't broken. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know there was such thing as a broken leg until you had one in that analogy. And then when something happened, he got so down, but because he'd never thought about mental health or knew any strategies to maintain it, it was just there until it wasn't. He found it hard to get back. And that's why things like this are really, really good, because we kind of, if you like, break down the process and give people tools, if you see what I mean.
I do. This is interesting.
Call it preventative maintenance, if you like.
Damn right. That's a very good. That's a very, very good thought. Aza's saying from New York, avoidance is a common trait of many men, isn't it?
But it doesn't work. That's the problem. It really doesn't work. It really doesn't work.
Well, you can do it for a while. You might get lucky. But
for a while, I would wager.
For a while, but eventually, as I hate to say, chickens come home to roost, and these things just fester, don't they? They just absolutely fester. And I'm going to say this publicly. I am so pleased that Neil has joined us. I'm thrilled, actually. I write him all these things, and he says, "Oh, don't be silly." But I don't know about you. I don't mean you, Neil. I mean, as the French would say. I never take things for granted. So when people come on and are really supportive and share the vision and want to share that vision and add to it. I never take that for granted. I'm very, very, very grateful. Talking of very grateful.
No, it's brilliant, Russ. I mean, I want to contribute to the field of mental health, and this is
well, you're going to be you're going to be my sidekick. So there we go. And
all right,
then your sidekick. Hey, you can be my wingman anytime. Talking of films, you know her, you love her. She's glamorous. She's brainy. She's the former CEO of BAFTA Los Angeles. She is, ladies and gentlemen, Chantal Rico.
You're talking about somebody else.
No, we're talking about you.
This is the third time we've met Chantal. We really must stop meeting like this, or people will start to talk.
Oh, hello. How are you both?
I'm good. Welcome to the show, lovely lady. Thank you for coming.
Can you say that? I don't even know if you're allowed to say that anymore. Do you find? I'm serious. I know Neil's just throwing out words, but would you find that patronising? I don't know.
No,
not just think it's nice. You think it's nice? I just think that Neil means it. I think we're so gun shy.
What, lovely lady?
I'm serious. Somebody. Let me tell you something.
You know what? I say that to most of the females in my life, and not one takes it the wrong way. I think it's how you do it.
Yeah. I think your love life now.
There's a patronising way of doing it. There's a creepy way of doing it, and there's a Neil way of doing it. And I think the Neil way is fairly cool. Well, I hope so. Anyway,
I like that. This is from Jane Rose. Mental health is bigger than anyone thinks. Damn right, Jane. It comes in many stages, and catch it early or miss it and catch it late. Mental health needs more advertising.
It needs.
We don't want to 2-for-1 offer on mental health, but we do want it talked about.
It needs a whole societal shift, Jane, in my opinion, that we learn about it as much as we learn about physical health and self-care. So when something does happen and it's not there by default, we know how to get it back rather than flailing.
Look at this coming in from Fife in Scotland. So I have to read these out because of the we're on radios, on Deluxe.
Avoiding discussing mental health within social work professionals is the norm, as it could mean losing your registration as a social worker. Now, isn't that incredible? You can't talk about the very thing you need to talk about to be able to do your job well. What an irony.
Sorry, before we dive into Chantal, look at this. Avoiding discussing mental health within social work professionals is the norm. Isn't that why you're there?
That's completely
bonkers. This is bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah. It also defies understanding that when you go to a GP and you are incredibly overweight, the one thing that they don't talk to you about is the fact that you're incredibly overweight, which is just bizarre in the extreme. It should be one of the first things that a doctor should tell you to tackle. But they have to be incredibly careful how they handle people and not come across as being nanny. But so many illnesses are caused through being overweight.
Of course.
And it should be tackled, very quickly to help so many different problems. But mental health is exactly the same.
My doctor didn't have that problem, Chantal. You're right, a lot of doctors do that, but mine didn't. He was a very sort of traditional family doctor. And he said, right, on the scales, you are obese. And I'm like, obese? Obese?
Yeah. Then they were talking scales, and they said, "Oi, one at a time."
They're so old.
I don't care. It's still one of my favourite gags.
The thing is, obesity is.
It was talking scales. Hang on, it was talking scales, and it said, "Oi, no coach parties, thank you." Come on.
I was affronted. Obese, me.
But did it make you behave differently?
It made me think. It did make me think, absolutely, yeah.
It made me think, I'll have another slice of cake. That's what I thought. I went to the doctors a few years back, pre-COVID, and he said, he has the bedside manner of, I'm an axe murderer, this guy. But he's very good, but he has no bedside manner whatsoever. One day I actually said, when I was really ill, he said, well, I got good news. You haven't got pneumonia. I said, oh, thank goodness. He said, no, you got double pneumonia.
Oh, no.
I swear to God. And I turned to him and I said, tell me something. When they gave the lecture on bedside manner, were you ill that day? Or what? I couldn't help it. And he got
the point. Illness millionaire. You've got pneumonia, but we don't want to give you that.
Yes, exactly. It was exactly
that. What's the next question for double pneumonia?
And he said to me, what did he say? You're pre-diabetic. I said, no, what are you talking about? I'm not. He said, oh, yeah, he just dropped it into the guy. You're pre-diabetic. I said, shit.
Can I tell my doctor's story?
So, yeah, absolutely. So then I changed my diet and it went away. It's fine. All the numbers came crashing down.
Well done.
Absolutely fine. It's all doable.
I do believe that type 2 diabetes is curable by diet. I know that might be a bit radical, but I do very much believe that. Michael Mosley does a load of great work. I love anything that Michael Mosley does. His Doctor's Health documentary is brilliant. Yes, he's a real national treasure.
Look at this. This is New York City for you. Look at this for New York. I walked home last night about 10:30. Lots of trash on the street. Yeah, New York is really becoming a jungle again. Someone threw out a doctor's scale, and this is on the street, and a woman was standing on it trying to weigh herself. Only in New York. Oh my!
Very New York.
It's a scale. I got to weigh myself.
Right. So there we are. Right. Should we now embrace?
A sore big toe, and it was really sore. It really swelled up. Real swelled up, like pussy and everything, horrible, really painful. So I went to the hospital, and this lady doctor came to see me. And what amused me was, have you seen the film Misery?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
The scary nurse in Misery. She looked just like the nurse Annie Wilkes, spitting image, and somewhat acted like it too. Right, I'm going to lance it. Can I have an anaesthetic? No. And my toe was so painful. The idea of sticking something up, I'm like, no, just no. And she looked at me with this patronising stare and said, "Okay, I'll go and get the cold spray. We keep it around the back for the children." And then walked out in a huff, got the cold spray, and it still really hurt. But I thought she was going to bring a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Yes, it's our new treatment.
I'm your biggest fan.
Oh.
That was a fascinating film and a fascinating book, and it was all about Stephen King trying to explain the pressure of being a best-selling author. Please God.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, did you not know?
No,
it's actually about him saying, "Do you understand the pressure of trying to be a best-selling author and trying to please everybody when I just want to write the stuff that I actually want to write?" And so he condensed it into like one fan capturing him, metaphorically him, is not obviously him.
How
fascinating. And that's what the book was all about.
I didn't.
Another interesting thing about
that when you were writing your wonderful things, Russ. I know you're a prolific writer. Did you come up against that of trying to please all the people, or did you just let go and?
I could talk about it for 2 hours non-stop without notes. The difficulty is, and it's the same as the music industry, and Chantal will know, the same as the film and television. Somebody comes along with a hit. Let's take J.K. Rowling, and every author is asked by their agent, right, I've heard from the publishers, can you write a sort of magic type book? And they go, yeah, but I do crime thrillers. Not me, I mean, they would say, but I do. But. So what they try and do, because publishing is always lagging behind, not being rude, it's the sheer length of time that the process takes. It's aching, it's glacier-like slow. And the same with music. They're always trying to follow a trend, but there's no point, because once you get Neil Long coming away from playing blues and now he's playing house music or some nonsense, right? The next trend's on, so you're always missing the boat. So my view is, I mean, I could always talk about this for a long time, which is why I never try and chase that.
I noticed it in music. Do you remember the hit Rockabye, a Clean Bandit?
Yes, I love that.
It's a beautiful song. And it broke musical records because it was #1 over Christmas and New Year for 8 weeks. And the last time that happened was with Frankie Lane back in the 50s, apparently. So it was a musical record. But it had this unique sound, that kind of wow, 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 wow sound to it. And then suddenly, funnily enough, every song that comes out has got this wow, wow, wow sound. Yeah. Before it was pumpy. Before that, it was kind of Nicki Minaj style. Then it suddenly went all wow wow for Rockabye. And
that's because the A&R people at the labels say, "Well, this is what we want." They wouldn't be able to find their backside with both hands. Most A&R.
You've already got a Rockabye. Mike Posner did "I Took a Pill in Ibiza," which has the same sound, and he did it really well. But everyone else just sounded like a cheap copy, in my opinion.
They are cheap copies. That's why everybody say, "Oh, can you write can you write like Game of Thrones?" So when you look down some of the lists, what you're doing is regurgitating Game of Thrones, substituting one character. It's the same thing. So there we are. So no, I try and just write what I want, but my agent does come. I mean, serious answer to your question is come back and say, well, first of all, you've got chick lit, I'm not being rude, this was huge chick lit, books designed, written by women that women would find more attractive than guys was. I'm sorry, I know these days, but this is the truth. Then they had what they called flick lit, which was like, you got to get through the book so fast because you can't wait to see what happens. And then there's this, and then and the fascinating thing is the Booker Prize. Everybody says when the first my agent was going around with the gatekeeper, somebody said, well, this won't win a Booker Prize. I have no interest, in all honesty, in winning the Booker Prize. I don't care. I just want people to buy it at an airport, buy it at Waterstones, read it on the beach. It's not an intellectual, I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just trying to do some entertainment in a book, same as the new one. And so the Booker Prize is no interest, but the Booker Prize, everyone goes, oh, this is marvelous. Yeah, it's a nice amount of money. The actual sales of a Booker Prize book are ludicrously low.
Really?
So it's just the ego. It's not like I've got a Booker Prize, therefore boom. It's really very interesting. Anyway, it's another thing. We are.
A lot of these awards don't turn into sales. I mean, it's the same with the Oscars and the BAFTAs. It doesn't necessarily put that much onto how many people will watch your movie or watch the TV show.
It used to a bit more, didn't it? But I think now it's become diluted.
Yeah, it doesn't really anymore.
Can I ask you a serious question? This is the last time, I swear to God, I will ever mention this. I promised you, but you are the only serious person that I can ask. Is this? He's had a 10-year ban from attending the Oscars. That's all it means. He can go and make as many films as he wants. He just can't rock up for the party.
Yep.
It's pathetic.
I did a gig last night with Mick Brown. Obviously, you remember Mick.
No.
Mick who? And he did this brilliant thing. He was doing an awards ceremony.
Pat Sharp, I don't remember him either. Go on.
No, he was doing an awards ceremony. It was a rugby club awards ceremony, and I was DJing it. And he was presenting an award to his son, Josh, who's a great guy.
Oh, bless him.
And he got the microphone and he said, I don't know why you hired Josh. He's a bit rubbish. And then Josh's mate Richard came up, slapped Mick and went, keep my friend's name out of your effing mouth. And then luckily everyone got the joke and started laughing.
It's a wonderful joke. It's totally, I can't answer this because it would take too much time. What do you think about books that are made? Oh no, Chantel can answer this. What do you think about books that are made into films? I find some are good and encourage people into reading, but others should be left alone. Yeah, well, some are unfilmable.
I mean, look at Harry Potter. I mean, Harry Potter's a whole industry just in itself. And clearly that was a book first and it became popular and then basically gave birth to one of the biggest movie franchises in the world, if not the biggest. I mean, was extraordinary. It's quite difficult to read Harry Potter. It's quite difficult to read out loud because when they first came out, I was reading them to my children, but actually they don't scan terribly well when you read them. It's sort of interesting. And I think that they're much better if you read them personally, not have them read to you by a parent. But I think the films were wonderful. They were so well made. And
pretty close to the original text, I thought.
Yeah,
they kept the characters. That's pretty much how you saw it. The trouble is, to answer Liz's question, I think it's this: radio and books are the imagination of the mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've broken the fourth wall now. You can hear us, but you can see us, so you know. Whereas people had no idea, like what Graham Dean looked like. They imagine this 6'1" hunk, and then they meet Graham, who's still one of my best mates, and they go, "Oh, Graham!" And it's like, see this little character.
He's a lovely man. He is a
fabulous. He's a
really lovely human being. Great DJ too. So
with books, you're imagining what the person is, and then the character turns up on screen. You go, doesn't look like that.
Well, the amount of people
in your head, it doesn't
50
look
Shades
like
of Grey, love it or hate it. Then when the film came out, they all went, "That's not Christian Grey." Because it wasn't how they constructed it in their minds. You're right, it is the imagination of the mind. And one thing I love is theatre of the mind, which is so much. That's why people say the book's better than the film. But who makes the book better than the film? The reader.
The reader does.
Because
you're doing all the heavy lifting. You're doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Chantal and Neil, cracked myself up. I watched a wonderful clip of the late, wonderfully great Gilbert Gottfried, who I was an enormous fan.
Yeah.
All my pals were as well. Reading 50 Shades of Grey. It was just hysterically funny because you know.
Oh, that's magical. I think in Harry Potter though, there's a theme of it ties in with our discussion on mental health as well, because there's quite a lot of, I would say, hero's journey stuff. In Harry Potter, those kind of archetypes, that kind of hero's journey, like boggarts, things to overcoming your fears and all that sort of thing.
Well, it's
all very theatrically done as a boy wizard.
Absolutely, it's the story. Well, Chantal could tell you technically exactly how it's done, because you've got the story arc when you're in great, what they would call peril, and your fortunes are being reversed, and you have to overcome that, and you're taking the reader, the viewer, whatever, with you, and how they're going to overcome this, and then eventually it triumphs in the end. That's the normal sort of
it is
sequential way that you plot these things out. Look at this. We must just say there's Liz Saul. Hello, Liz. Chag Samaya, everyone. In total, obviously Jewish fashion, I made a matzo ball soup. I'll be around at 1:30, if that's all right with you. And that'd be nice.
She's here. You're very welcome.
Oh, she said, I love matzo ball soup, says Hazel Dawn Brown. Now you're going to have to ship it out to New York. How the hell? Well, put it in a nice brown paper box or something. It won't leak. It'll be fine. Right. What have you come across on your perfume?
Well, I suppose sort of slightly on a medical theme, but not really. Dr. Julius No, played by an actor called Joseph Wiseman. Do you know?
Oh, yes, of course.
Exactly. Dr. No was the very first Bond movie. Yeah. And they've done something this year. It's the 60th anniversary of James Bond, and every single movie is being re-released sequentially in the cinema.
Oh my God.
And this is the week that they are releasing the first film. It wasn't the first one written. The first one written was Casino Royale, I think.
Yeah,
but Dr. No was the first one they made, filmed in Jamaica. It gave birth to a lot of the things that we then came to expect from James Bond. So the fabulous graphics of the gun at the beginning and the girl standing on the gun, gorgeous girls, Ursula Andress, who could forget Honey Rider, the play on words, the sort of the fun of the names, the big villain. So it gave rise to Spectre and Dr. Julius No, who was a rather interesting blend of German Chinese bad guy, when I think we still thought that the Germans were bad guys. It's sort of interesting. It was 1962 and the world was a really very, very different place. I think the book had been written in 1958. Wow. Spectre, of course, was, I think, what was it? The Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge and Extortion.
And Blockbuster's Video Club.
Oh, honestly, it's all really, really good stuff. But actually, I am going to go and see these movies at the cinema.
Oh my gosh, do you need someone to come with?
Oh, come. I get free tickets, so come with me.
Are you going to go see every one?
I'm going to go and see every single one.
Louise, can I ask you who your favourite Bond is? Because I'm really clear on my favourite.
Well, I think the most authentic is Sean Connery.
I knew you were going to say that. But who's your favourite?
Well, when I was growing up in my teenage years, I was a Roger Moore girl.
Me too.
Yeah. So, and I love those movies because I love their comedy.
It's the comedy. It's
really dark comedy.
Perhaps they had to evolve, but they all got really dark and kind of dark and ominous. But
I
Roger Moore,
completely agree.
It's just an absolute romp. I love Roger Moore.
Yeah, I think the Roger Moore ones, most particularly when he was sort of filming out in America, and there were sort of chases in boats and
Jaws. The character Jaws, what a character! Yeah,
it became more sort of pantomime, but to me that was just it was lovely that you could mould the Bond character.
I would have that over dark and ominous any day of the week.
Now, Neil, I'm going to ask both of you a question in a second. Neil, you look surprised when Chantal said that the book was written in about 1958. I've went back and revisited the original books, so Moonraker, and when you actually read the books, it's quite extraordinary. They have no relationship to the film whatsoever.
Well, that's interesting.
In as much as they are really stuff from World War II. They are written in a way, it's so clear that it's just come out of World War II. It's very early 1950s in its style and its approach and in its scope. Its scope is really actually very small. And I was listening to this, it was being read. It was the full version of Moon, excuse me, of Moonraker. I've forgotten who the actor was. He was excellent, and it was all being narrated. And I was thinking, how did anybody take this, which at its time was great, and now you look at it and it's pretty simple, straightforward, mindless story. I know that sounds rude, but Bond isn't a fantastic superhero. He hasn't got gadgets. He's got nothing. It's just basically he's clearly come out of some sort of security branch of the armed forces, and it's very clear. It's very rooted in World War II.
Yeah, I mean, spy novels are a really big thing, and they started coming in really at the end of the 50s, and then the 60s. Spy novels were massive, absolutely. If you think of the Ipcress file that we were talking about only a couple of weeks ago, that was sort of typical of the time. There were really lots of movies about spies.
It really captured our imagination, though. We find all that thrilling, don't we?
Yeah.
I quite liked a lot of Jeffrey Archer's stuff, if I can say that, because that was what I would call faction. It didn't happen, but it could have, if you know what I mean. All that kind of governmental stuff, and I personally found that thrilling, really interesting.
Yeah.
And spy novels just captured all of us, didn't it? It's almost exotic. The reality is probably very grim, but the way it's portrayed is kind of mystical and exotic and exciting.
Yeah, of course, it's anything but. It's ghastly. I mean, the reality is just absolutely horrible. It's very interesting. So is this at one cinema they're doing the Bond?
No. All over the country.
Wow!
So
really?
This is a whole big thing.
When does this start, Chantal?
It starts this week. So
the twins will love this.
Yeah,
I
think it's going to be brilliant.
But I'll tell you what's going to happen. I'll tell you what's going to happen, Chantal and Neil, and I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen with this. The twins will go, and then they go, how could you have ever liked Roger Moore, Dad? What a cheesy creep. I can hear it now. They're 23, by the way, and for them to watch the Roger Moore era, which we loved and I still hugely enjoy, and it's a romp, and it's of its time, and it's great, right? Yeah. And it's frivolous. And they will be offended. I can tell you.
I think that sounds like Ashley.
I bet the house they will be offended.
Yeah, that sounds like exactly what Ashley would say. She's more of a Daniel Craig kind of girl, I think.
Yeah.
Because
certainly the sexism was
they'll hate it.
They
will hate that. That's casually sexist. That's casually racist.
I know.
God damn. I have to send in a pre-agreed script if I'm having dinner with them. Is this okay? Is this all right?
Well, it's interesting that actually it would be quite good for our kids to understand what we were watching and what we were enjoying at the time, because it'll give them a really, a good grounding actually of history, because it is history.
Great. And it actually annoys me. I'm going to make them watch every one.
History. God, history. They'll get the gadgets and the car and they'll like that, but they'll be laughing at the fashions. They'll be laughing at Roger Moore's safari suits and everything.
Yeah,
but he was such a first of all a charming man, and so handsome. Such a handsome.
Yeah, he was incredibly handsome.
Just a great guy, just a great man, a lovely man. Everybody loved working with him, which is nice.
Did you meet him?
I never did. My dad did a lot, because Dad was a timber importer, so all those James Bond sets was Dad's timber. I used to go wandering all over them, and everybody loved Roger Moore. If it was the lady in the cafeteria down at Pinewood, Roger Moore would come in with a big box of chocolates for her birthday, and in the cafeteria and everything. People don't have to do that. No. You don't have to be Will Smith. You can be a nice person and still be a star. It's perfectly doable. You don't have to be an arse.
Well, no, I have. I achieve that every day, Russ. So I agree.
Well, right. Opinions coming in. Here we go. Let's see where you stand on this, Chantal and Neil. This is got totally bored with Bond after the 80s until the Daniel Craig movies. Interesting. And then we got Roger Moore was good, Sean Connery was good, times have changed, and Daniel Craig came along. 007 is being toned down, but the films are still amazing. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was absolutely sensational. Had the privilege of meeting Roger Moore when I was 10.
Brilliant.
So Sue Sleep, that's sweet. Right, so I love that. I didn't know they were doing that.
Yep.
I've not read about it. Well done. Thank you so much.
And I think it's safe enough to go back into the cinema. And a lot of people have been sort of, hanging back. But I think we're now at a stage where everybody should be getting COVID and it's probably not going to kill us. So let's just get on with it. So I think it's safe to go back to the cinema. I shall certainly be going. But
it's going to be great.
If you want a rollicking good and very well written comedy drama to watch, it's just come on to Amazon. It won a ton of awards last year in America. It won Emmys and it won Golden Globes. And I've been desperately waiting for it to be picked up by one of the streamers. And it now has been. And it's called Hacks. And it's actually about hacks. Yeah.
Okay.
It's about a woman who, if you think she's a sort of Joan Rivers character, she's a slightly, or as we remember Joan Rivers, slightly later in her life, career not going quite as well as it could have done, appearing on QVC, selling sort of shitty jewelry. She's still doing 100 nights a year in Las Vegas. Wow. And then she gets told that the premise is, she gets told by the guy who runs the theatre that he is going to reduce her time and he's taking her off her weekend slots. So effectively her primetime career, if you like, is coming to an end. And so her manager in Los Angeles decides that she needs to freshen up her act and sends a slightly disgraced young comedy writer from Los Angeles, chalk and cheese basically, out to Las Vegas to help this woman. The character is Jean Smart, who's an American actress I don't know terribly well, but God, she's good. Absolutely fantastic. The young writer goes out to join her in Las Vegas, and it's incredibly well written. The comedy is great. It's not belly laughs, but because they're talking about writing a script all the time, you just get the gags naturally because the gags are just sort of thrown in without. They're not forced on you. What is really interesting is the relationship between the young comedy writer and the old girl who's seen it, done it, got the T-shirt, had the husbands, lost the husbands, had the fortune, lost the fortune. It's incredibly well done. It's gone to a second series, which comes out in May. It's called Hacks. It's on Amazon, and there are 10 1-hours in the first series. But if you want something that's really nice and easy to watch, but is a really good drama at the same time as delivering lots of great comedy lines, then this is the thing to watch.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, that sounds excellent.
Sounds super.
There's obviously an appetite for that because they did. Mrs. Maisel. Mrs. Maisel. That's what I was trying to think.
Exactly.
So there's clearly people who like this.
Yeah.
This is interesting. From Dave Sleet, he said, "We'd love to see the Ian Fleming versus Frederick Forsyth story." So I don't know if they had. I didn't like each other, but Frederick Forsyth was one of my big influences. I really liked how he researched stuff, and you thought, well, this could be true. You had no idea if it was true or not true. It could be made up. Who knows? That's the joy. You don't know. Okay. Hacks, excellent. And Elizabeth Green is saying, great. So, that's good. On Amazon.
On Amazon, or Prime as it's called. I shouldn't call it Amazon.
It's
is
it called Prime now?
Prime.
Whatever. It is. By the way, there is another series of Father Brown, which I know I absolutely adore. I've just watched the final. I don't know if it's the final series. That is that. And again, we discussed that you said that it probably had to be contractually shown daytime as opposed. It's just beautifully made, beautifully acted, beautifully shot. Father Brown, great. Shakespeare and Hathaway, if you want something light and frothy, still funny, nice. Still good, charming show. I don't think I'd like it, but it's fun. It's a fun sort of thing to watch. It's really nice. What else?
So, I came across something on the ITV player this week, which is 7 years old, and I had never even heard of it. It's only a 2-parter, but I love John Sim, the actor, who we've seen most recently in the Peter James novels, and the latest one of the new ITV, Peter James, is coming back in about a month's time. But about 7 years...
I'm so sorry. What is Peter? I don't know what Peter James is.
Peter James is the leading crime writer in the United Kingdom.
Oh, apart from that, then, nothing big. Good. Well done, Russell. You genius.
He's a dragon as well.
He writes about the Brighton police.
Oh, but we've talked about it. I'm going mad. He's got his own police car. Yeah, of course we've talked about this.
We've
yes,
talked
I'm
about
an idiot. I'm so sorry, yes.
But I was just mentioning that John Sim did the very first one, which came out about 9 months ago on ITV, but the second one will come out in April.
Oh, I watched it. I'm going mad.
Yeah. But I found another John Sim drama, which was based on a true life story about how DNA was used to solve the first murder in the United Kingdom. So you've got a very interesting, you've sort of got two thrillers running alongside. It's called Coda the Killer. It's 1 hours. It's 7 years old, but it's on the ITV player. And actually, it's completely fascinating because the drama unfolds about will they be able to use the DNA testing to solve the crime, as well as the actual crime itself. So you've got two great stories running in parallel.
Wasn't this the Colin Pitchfork case? Have I got that right?
It was. Well done, because I knew the name Colin Pitchfork, but I didn't really know the story of the two young women who were murdered and how long it had taken to find him.
What's this called again?
It's called Coda the Killer.
Ah.
And all really based around the fact that they suddenly realized that DNA could possibly be used to track down people or to verify that somebody had committed a crime.
Yeah.
So it's a great piece of social history as much as anything else.
Brilliant,
scientific history. And John Sim's always worth watching. So
he's such a good actor, isn't he?
And it's only 2 1 hours. It's a really easy thing to consume, but I thought it was really worth watching.
It is worth watching.
That sounds good. I've watched documentaries on that. That's how I know it's Colin Pitchfork, and I remember it being the first killer caught by DNA. So the fact it's been dramatised, I'm sure that'd be brilliant.
Well, yeah. I mean, you obviously knew the story better than I did. But talking about documentaries, a quick one before we wrap up. There's yet another documentary series about Gaza, which came out on the BBC. It's it's 2 1 hours. It's basically a long form documentary split up over 2 programs, but they're both sitting there on the iPlayer to watch. And you see how, mental health is everything. And you see what happens to people when their mental health begins to suffer. Yeah. And my heart was bleeding for Gaza watching this. I mean, it really is such a sad, sad story. I mean, it's wonderful archive, absolutely brilliant archive. It shows you his great relationship with Jim Rosenthal, who's the ITV sports correspondent, and the fun that they had in Italy, and people saying really lovely things about Gaza. But ultimately, drink got the better of him, a terrible relationship with his wife that sort of destroyed him emotionally. And because he was sort of everybody wanted a part of Gaza.
Everybody wanted a bit, didn't they?
Yeah, and ultimately it completely broke him as a human being. So it's one of those things that should be watched because actually you get something out of it in terms of being aware of your own mental health and your own frailties and trying to sort of
and its importance. And it's I mean, Gaza was always portrayed in the media as this kind of figure of fun, I suppose, wasn't he? Yeah. And mocked an awful lot. But and I remember reading it back then and sort of thinking about it in that way. But now I'm much more mental health aware. I see it from a completely different point of view.
It's the same thing very briefly with Mike Tyson. And you watch him go from this young kid, he was the youngest guy, he was like 20, and he was 21 when he really broke the thing about it. He's a 21-year-old kid, and he's 23. And then you watch him and his mental health, dear God.
Yeah.
Dear God.
What's the name of that one, Chantal?
It's just called Gaza.
Is it? Okay. I'm making notes here because you've always got some brilliant recommendations.
Absolutely so. I do the same thing. And I go, what did she say? Well, I look it up and I go rushing over to the TV one of an evening and watch it. Listen, thank you both so much.
Brilliant.
Chantal, always don't you, Neil, you can stay here because I need to say something. Chantal, bless you. Thank you so much.
Nice seeing you. Have a happy weekend.
Have a lovely long weekend. Please. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Now, gang, you seem to like Neil Long. I like Neil Long.
You poor misguided people.
You fool. You fool. It was a very, very hilarious thing I was watching. You fool. Right. So Neil's going to be along. No, that sounds ridiculous. Neil Long's going to be along. No, it's like a haiku. A lot more than this. It's great. I'm glad you're reacting so well. I love working with Neil. He's just terrific.
Thank you,
And
Russ. I
and he
appreciate it.
adds such a because he's very honest. I'm saying this. I'm going to embarrass you, but you're very, very honest. You know, you're not preachy. You just tell it like it is. And I think you've been incredibly helpful to people. And I think that's only going to grow. I really do. I think that's going to grow.
Wow,
Just before we go,
thank you so much.
before we go, I did put on Facebook about the Jimmy Savile thing. Huge reaction. It would have to be a very, very special show. It's beyond my pay grade, Neil's pay grade, anybody. So I want to get proper experts on. We will do it. Look at this, and we'll end with this. Miss Phil, but love Neil Long. Well, you couldn't ask for better than that. Have a wonderful, wonderful long weekend. This is almost professional, Neil. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back on Wednesday. Until then, stay safe. Bye.
Thanks, Samaya.
Thank you so much, and happy Easter.